Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. This past weekend, I was in Pittsburgh for our marriage enrichment retreat. The theme this year was the joy of change. How do we become more joyful on account of change rather than stressful? Change typically brings us more stress, not more joy. And so I'd shared with all of the seekers who had joined 12 perspectives on how to go from stress to joy. These were all extracted from Rishi Narada's Bhakti Sutras. Here's one of them. Kahatarati, who is the one that crosses over dejection, anxiety, stress. Yaha yogakshemam tyajati, the one who renounces yogakshema, that means living by wants. The one who lives by wants, that person is always fearing change and not embracing change. This was distilled into a single English word, the one who is grateful. The one who is grateful doesn't live by wants. They live by needs, and most likely, as I look around in this community, their needs are already met. I remind everyone on being grateful because this morning we complete day 108 of the 13th semester of Meaningful Mornings. You may not have joined for 108 mornings, you may not have joined for 13 semesters, but Meaningful Mornings is like that substratum. Whether you're there or not, this opportunity, this community is. Be grateful. I've been really enjoying our one-with-one. A recent one-with-one I had with a Devi in our community, she had shared with me, around the time Meaningful Mornings commenced, she commenced her pursuit of a PhD. Her PhD is in how artificial intelligence can support healthcare. And as she was sharing these insights with me about her pursuit, why she's doing this, in such a profound way, she had shared 75% of the credit of her pursuing and completing this PhD goes to Meaningful Mornings. She's married, she has 2 kids, and she shared 75% of the credit goes to this substratum, to this steadiness. One of the most dominant teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most dominant feelings in Meaningful Mornings relates to the source of your happiness. The source of your happiness. For this insightful Devi, she knows the source of her happiness is not her IQ. It is her SQ that is enabling her IQ. Pujaswami Tejomayananda shared with us, the one who is happy is unshakable. What utility is felt by the one who is happy in all of this change? They are unshakable. In contrast, the one who's not happy, but rather the one who's holding on to sources of happiness that are not them, articles, circumstances, beings, that person is not unshakable. That person is struggling to keep up with articles, circumstances, beings. They're busy, they're stressed, and so on. The source of one's happiness. Shri Krishna is transitioning us from many systems to the forthcoming one on composition. Where he is taking us with this next system, Purusha expresses as Prakriti, which expresses as gunas. Purusha and Prakriti, we explored these terms throughout Bhagavad Gita, trying to put this into English. This spirit expresses as matter, which expresses in a conditioned way. It is based on qualities. For those who have more of a devotional bent, Bhagwan expresses as Maya, which expresses as gunas. Divinity expresses as creation, which is limited. I tried to emphasize yesterday how pervasive the gunas are. I mentioned you, food, time. Zooming into time. At 3 a.m., humans have the most propensity to be quiet. I know you're validating this because you sleep at 3 a.m. You're the most quiet. The point is to be awake and quiet. At 9 a.m., that is when the day becomes filled with aggressiveness. It's hotter. The stock market opens. And 9 p.m. is when the day, now night, is filled with laziness. We don't make the right decisions. The body is heavy. I know we shouldn't have classes at 9 p.m., but maybe this is the reason why we have classes at 9 p.m. To hold us back from making wrong decisions, getting into wrong habits. Now, an insight into what I'm describing, because you already know this. Why is Shri Krishna, why does he keep sharing this? He doesn't know more? Doesn't he know we're bored? He's sharing this for us to reverse engineer what we're experiencing. If you understand the gunas, then you know they have come from Prakriti or matter. If you understand Prakriti or matter, then you'll also understand Purusha or spirit. This is why he is sharing. In our marriage retreat, I shared with everyone in a very logical way. If there's a relative, then there has to be an absolute. By show of hands, do you agree? And we don't push deeper into this, so I tried to push deeper into this. If there's an absolute, what is there not? A relative. How many of you feel this to be true? See how we get it mathematically, scientifically, because we're habituated to objective sciences. If there's an absolute, there's no relative. If there's infinity, there's no individuality. Reverse engineer what it means to be an individual. These gunas are now about you. These insights help us to utilize these qualities, these conditions to our advantage. Swami Tejomayananda had shared. Use tama to your advantage. Be lazy with laziness. Yes? When I have the propensity to just lie around, I should be lazy towards doing that, as in slow in doing that. then the chances of me doing it is less. Do you get it? These insights are to be utilized for our evolution. Finally, in verse 40, Sri Krishna has zoomed into composition with one magnification. Now in verse 41, this is almost also a transition verse. He's zooming into this with 10 magnification. The system begins in verse 42, the 100 magnification. So a lot of orientation is being shared with us, so we personalize these teachings. Verse 41. Brahmana kshatriya visham shudranam cha parantapa karmani pravibhaktani swabhava prabhave gunaihi. Joy. I'm reading the translation because you already know this. Then I will add reflections so we remember this. Of scholars, that is brahmanas, of leaders, that is kshatriyas, of traders, that is vaishyas, and also of workers, that is shudras. O Parantapa, the duties are distributed according to the qualities born of their own nature. Share with me, how would you describe this verse in one Sanskrit word? What system is being magnified? Varna. Good. Now, even more carefully, how do you define Varna into English? What system? The personality works. Another one? Color. Thank you. Please do not write caste. I've invested hundreds of hours in trying to share that there is no caste system. If there is, it's some ego's expression of this or interpretation of this. Varna means color. Yesterday, the Varna I was wearing, I think, may have been blue. Now the Varna I'm wearing is white. I'm not cast by the color of my clothing. Because I wear blue doesn't make me different. Because I wear white doesn't make me different. Our culture, even those who facilitate our culture, many don't get it. Okay. I've explained all of this many, many, many times. I'm going to give you a different way to reflect on the color of your personality. The word I'm using is composition. For a Brahmana, the composition of their personality, the way they live, it is for others. For the Kshatriya, they live for others and themselves. Majority, minority. For the Vaishya, they live for themselves and others. They're major, they're minor. And the Shudra, why do they live? Who do they live for? Themselves. Only a master, in the sense that Pujaswami Tejomayananda taught me this, only a master can take the scholarliness of Sattva Rajatama and make this into, who are you living for? And that determines the color of your personality. Others, others in oneself, oneself in others, oneself. The typical person I interact with lives for their individuality and family, not community, not society, humanity, and that makes them a Vaishya. People hear my last name. People feel that Vivek went to business school, so he must be a Vaishya, but I don't live for my individuality or in family only. If I did, there'd be no meaningful mornings. And even if there were meaningful mornings, there'd be lots of holidays. I am not a Vaishya. I certainly do live for myself, but I feel I live for others before myself. I'm reading a comment from Puja Swami Tejo Chinmayananda. The Shastra enjoins duties by pursuing which the preponderant tamas can be evolved into the rajas, which in its turn can grow to become sattva. And even then, the seeker must wait for the sublimation of sattva, which alone is the final experience of the infinite. This is to be gained. All of these details are for evolution. Stop living for yourself. Start living for others. That includes animals, plants, stones. Prithivya, all beings on earth. From inspiration to application. Your application yesterday was to look onto CM Niagara's Facebook, Instagram, and X accounts for a quote by James Clear. Who is he the author of? Or what is he the author of? Atomic Habits. A really good book. Sheila gives me a lot of upadesha, a lot of advice. So yesterday I told her, my suggestion to you, instead of reading this book or that book, read Atomic Habits. See how I'm not giving her advice. I'm directing her to advice from someone else. The quote is, if you have good habits, time becomes your ally. If you have good habits, time becomes your ally. My reflection on this is, when you apply yourself, when you live by these teachings, the multiverse starts to work with you. How many of you agree? When you work hard and smart, it's like the multiverse works with you. Things become easier. A habit implies application. Naturally, your application for this morning is, which Varna are you? I am not stating this based on gunas, but who you're living for. Which Varna are you? Our application, we are now 8 days away from May 8th. Yesterday, I encouraged all of you to actively invite someone of the younger generation to this celebration. I also have the sattvic expectation that we will complete our effort for awe, including planting plants, collecting litter. If you've done this, please track this on our website. We want to live and die as brahmanas, those who live for others. That includes animals, plants, stones, that includes the future. These efforts are a succession plan. Shanti, 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 be joy.